Hi and welcome to the Cornish Knitter. This is my podcast where I talk about all my knitting, a little bit about my shop update and what I'm up to because I own a yarn shop, and I'm also going to be talking to my business partner Anton about the Raw Wool Company, and hopefully we're going to go out on a location and spend some time with some sheep. So thank you for listening, and do like and subscribe so you don't miss any future edits. So I've tried to get this video out a little bit quicker, and thank you for everybody that commented last time on my videos. I do really appreciate your comments. It's been a sort of busy time here at Stitches and Cream. We've had a lot going on, but I have been able to do some knitting. Probably should just mention what I'm wearing. This is not a recent knit. I knitted this ages ago, but this is the Weekender by Andrea Mowry. I chose not to put in the sleeves on this one. I love this pattern. The only thing that I don't like quite so much is I usually like a boat neck, but this one does feel a little bit high, so I do tend to wear something underneath it just because it does feel like it's a little bit high. I think she's done the pattern again with more of a crew neck, and I know this has been a common thing that people have said. Probably if I did it again, as I said, I do like the boat neck effect, but I'd probably bind off in a much bigger needle so it was a little bit more stretchy and more comfortable around my neck. But yeah, I do love it. I do like the sleeveless version. I sort of like these sort of vest tops, sort of like a tabard top lengthwise. Ooh, I don't know if you can see, I've sort of knitted it so that it covers the top of my jeans, it's a worsted weight pattern, this one, and I knitted it in our Cumbria by the Fibre Company. This colour I think is called Barrow, but it's a lovely yarn. It's got a little bit of mohair in it, so it's nice and soft, it's nice and warm, and it's a really comfortable wear, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. I haven't got anything else that's particularly a finished object this time. As I sort of said, it's been quite busy. We had our mum was 90 recently, so we've had all the preparations for mum turning 90, and also as I mentioned last time, we've had the sock club up and running, and we had so many people sign up to that in the first release of subscriptions, and last night I hosted a Zoom for one of the Zooms for the Knitter Natter for the group, and it was just so lovely to see people from all over being brought together with a shared passion for knitting, many of whom have not knitted socks before or only sort of knitted the odd sock sort of in the dim and distant past. So it was really great to sort of catch up with everybody that was able to join me, and this is what the sock community is really all about, or the sock club. It's about sort of creating that community where we can all share our sort of passion for knitting socks and sort of learn from each other, as well as sort of getting that lovely gift box every other month as well. So I know a lot of you have contacted me about when the sock club might be open again and how you subscribe. So it reopens for subscription. We're opening it for a 2-week window from the 14th to the 30th of November. And if you go onto our website, you will see that we've got a tab at the top which says Sock Club. I will put a link in the notes below. If you click on that one, it will give you all the information you need, and between those dates you'll be able to go on and subscribe to Sock Club if that's what you want to do, and it would be lovely to see you if you do. So that's a little bit about Sock Club. The knit along has sort of beginning to wind down a little bit because so many people have been finishing their shawls and they've been sharing their shawls, and they're absolutely stunning. So we've got some amazing sort of examples of shawls, and it's been such a lovely group. We've sort of done that on here on YouTube Live. Our next live is I think it's the 9th of November in the evening, British time, at 7 o'clock in the evening. So if you want to see what it's about, do tune in on our live event so you can just see us chatting about the shawls. But that will probably be sort of near the end of this knit along. But it's been such an amazing experience. We are going to be doing another one. And as I mentioned before, we're going to be doing a knit along with a colourwork KAL. I struggle to say that word. I don't know why, but it's a colour work sort of piece of work. But talking to Nikki, who's designing it, we've got some exciting ideas about how you can make everybody's quite unique and different. So watch out for more information about that. I will try and talk to you about that in the next couple of weeks. And on the strength of last time, if you're interested in kits for the knit along, do sign up as quickly as we sort of let you know that we're going to be releasing them. So because they were sold out pretty quickly last time. So anyway, that's a little bit about the knit along. But what I've really loved about both the Sock Club and the knit along is the community aspect of it. It's that connecting with people, and it's why I sort of started this YouTube channel. It's just I love talking to people, and most of my work in life I've worked in sort of mental health and community development and also inclusion. And I think since the pandemic, I think one of the things we did learn, wasn't it? It was about, you know, how important social connections are and sort of friendships and relationships, positive relationships with people. And in this sort of world that we live in, sometimes people can sort of be sort of quite isolated, quite lonely, or they just might not be able to get out and meet people due to health reasons or geography or transport availability. So this sort of virtual online community, I think, is a really sort of wonderful place to be. My experience of it with the KAL and the Sock Club and through YouTube has been solely positive, and it's lovely to connect with so many people who've privately messaged me and sort of said, you know, I don't have anybody to knit with at home, or, you know, I live on my own and I find it difficult to get out and meet people. And that really means a lot to me, because that is so important, I think, in life, because it's such a gift to be able to connect with other people, and it's lovely to be able to do this virtually. And on the back of that it set us thinking, and we in Stitches and Cream, we want to do an awful lot more of this and sort of bring it up a level. So whilst we got Sock Club, which is great for people that like to knit socks or want to learn to knit socks, we've been thinking about other sorts of communities we can bring, but also how we can connect you with experts. I'm back. That was the phone ringing. As you can see, I'm sitting in the shop. Yeah, so it's about sort of, you know, how we can build that community, connect people with sort of experts so we can learn from each other, how we can sort of share what patterns we're working on or inspiration for things, how we can reach out to people and get sort of expert advice or support. So we've been sort of mulling this idea over and thinking about how can we extend what we've already been sort of doing and you know, build on that experience in a more sort of meaningful and committed way. And so we are going to be launching something called the Knitting Academy, but what we are going to do is have a crowdfunder, because I don't know anybody that sort of deals with these digital world things, but a lot of these things you need to pay licenses, we need sort of additional support to do some of the technical stuff, and all of that costs us quite a bit of money, and to do it properly, and I would always like to do things properly and at a high quality and a high standard, we need some support. So we will be having a crowdfunder launch in early November. Do watch out on our Instagram or social media for launch. We've got some lovely prizes as well, and some of that is around sort of private tuition, or some of it's sort of, you know, sort of tangible gifts like yarn and other things. Or you can gift something as a Christmas gift. But this is about trying to raise money so that we can expand what we're doing across the world into this global community and make it a really sort of comforting and supportive and companionable place for everybody to take part. So if you are interested, do keep an eye out for our crowdfunder campaign. As I said, I think it's kicking off on the 1st of November. Please do show us some support so that we can continue to build on what we're already doing. So what have I been knitting on? I've been knitting on a couple of things, mainly for the shop. Probably just, I mentioned the knit along just a little bit earlier. I have done a little bit more of my Arisimum shawl. So you can see it's got mosaic work, which I showed you before. The light's a bit better today when I'm doing this. This yarn is from Blue Fern Yarns, and she dyed us up some lovely kits. And I know a number of people actually knitted it in this colourway. But this colour, sort of pinky rust, is such a lovely, I think it's such a good sort of colour for all complexions, and particularly as we're sort of perhaps can't have bright colours against our faces. But I do love the colour of that, and I'm on the final stages. So I've just got 2 more rows of two more sections of this lace design, and then a couple of stripes, and then I cast off, and I will be blocking it ready to wear. But my only thing I'm really not looking forward to is this, you know, all the ends to sew in. Anybody else really good and sew in as they go? I always start off with really good intentions and think, yeah, I must sew in the ends, and because I hate doing it at the end, as we all do, I think. And then I sort of, you know, move, because I'm interested in the next stage, I move on to the next sort of bit of the pattern, and then I think, oh, I will go back and do that, and ultimately it always comes at the end. I need to take an evening. And I think it's the thought of it that's the worst bit, because once I've sat down and started to do it, I'm fine. As long as I've got something decent to listen to and a nice cup of coffee or tea, I just sew in all the ends. But then I sew in the ends, but I don't trim them until I block something, just in case that they sort of move a little bit. So, and then I'll be blocking it. It's quite a big shawl, so it's going to take quite a bit of space to block, but I'm really looking forward to that being finished. And some of the people that knitted the Aster shawl as well, I've seen some beautiful examples of that. But it's such a lovely pattern. Cekine Feyton, who is the designer for the Arisimum shawl, she has been absolutely amazing in supporting us on our Ravelry group, and we've established a little bit of a connection, and she shared with me a new pattern that she's going to be releasing sometime in November, which is this gorgeous cardigan, which has got some really interesting details on it. I can't share any more about it than that, but rest assured I will be knitting it as soon as I can get my hands on the pattern, and it may be so, and it from what she shared with me, it looks like it's going to be from a children right up to an adult size. So I'm really excited for that to come out. So do show her your support and go and check it out when it comes out. But I will be knitting it to show you it, and we may think about how we could either do a workshop on it because of some of the interesting techniques, or maybe a knit along where you could do the children's versions as well. But yeah, no, she's been amazing. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you to her, because you know, she volunteered to take part in sort of helping people, and she's been really great on the Ravelry, and she joins our lives and answers questions, and so that's been really good. So I'm enjoying that, but it's coming to an end. I had cast on, I mentioned last time that I was going to be knitting, I'll just get this right, the Galanta vest. So I'm going to hold that up like that. The light's actually, you're able to see the pattern. So the pattern here, if I can hold it, I don't know if I can hold it and show you. So the pattern here, you can see sort of this sort of false cable comes up on one side and then is across the bottom. It's got a split hem, which I quite like, a little bit like this one is, so it doesn't sort of sit too snugly around your hips. I'm up to the point where I'm about to divide for, I just knocked off loads of my stitches there off my needles. I probably got the cord fractionally too short for safely keeping it on, and stupidly I haven't put on needle stoppers either, but I think I've you know what it's like, oh, I need to get them quickly before they start running. There we are, back on. So I'm at the point where I'm about to divide for the V-neck, which that's one of the reasons I really did like it. I like the V-neck. And then I think you've got this false rib design again on the shoulders. The pattern has come in a sweater version as well, but as I said earlier, I do like a slip over, and they seem to be everywhere at the moment. The yarn I'm using is Rum and Raisin by Raw Wool Company. As you know, Raw Wool is a company that I have an interest in, but this yarn here is a beautiful, beautiful sort of dark bitter chocolate. And what I do love about it is, I don't know if I can bring it up, you can see it's still got bits of the field from the fleece on it. And as you're knitting, and some of the longer fibres from the Wensleydale that's sort of blended into it as well. That's not my hair, that's part of the staple from the Wensleydale. So it's a really lovely rustic knit, but it's lovely and soft actually. It's much softer than you would sort of think from the look of it, but it's a gorgeous knit, and I'm really loving how structured and how defined the cables look in this yarn. The pattern itself is for a worsted weight, and Rum and Raisin is actually a DK weight, but I thought when I looked at it that it was plump enough and fluffy enough to showcase this yarn in the right way. It wouldn't be too thin a fabric, and yeah, I'm knitting it on the recommended needles, and it's fine. I'm really enjoying it. So that's the Galanta vest by Carol Feller. And I'm about to divide for the neckline. Oh, the bra strap keeps dipping down. Oh God, that really irritates me. I think I've got a slopey right shoulder, and it always just slips off. So yeah, so that's one thing I'm knitting on. One of the other things that I've cast on is oh, goodness me, what is it? It's the Kids Porty cardigan by Gudrun Johnson. I think it's by Gudrun Johnson. I'm just going to check. Yeah. And I'm knitting it in ginger pink yarns. I showed you these. So I've just sort of got halfway down the colour work. It's a little steeked cardigan. There's a steek in the middle there. So it's a little steeked cardigan, but anybody that's a bit nervous of steeking, as some of you know, I've only tried it for the first time this year, but it's worked fine, and the cardigan I did it on has held up really well. So I'm sort of, it helped me get over my nerves. But there is a sweater version of this, and there is an adult version as well. So this is a sort of a 4-ply weight yarn. The ginger pink yarns is a yarn that comes from, I'm trying to think of the lady's name. I can't think of the lady who owns Ginger Pink Yarns. I met her at Unravel anyway, and she sent me some of her yarn. I purchased some of her yarns, and we're going to be having these kits in the shop. But this yarn is the Exmoor sock yarn. So it is 60% Exmoor Blueface, 20% Corriedale, 10% Swart Balls, and 10% nylon. So it was a little, as well as the sort of pale grey, it was a little mini set. You can see all the colours there, and then a natural one just for the main colours. I just wanted a natural sort of neutral cardigan. This is the baby size. I haven't got any babies to knit for. I haven't got any grandchildren on the way or anything. So this is really a shop sample to showcase the yarn. But I do enjoy knitting colour work. It's so addictive, isn't it? Last night I sort of cast it on yesterday evening, just before I did the Zoom that I was talking about with the sock ladies, and I thought, well, I'll just get it cast on, and I'll do an hour after the Zoom, because it was sort of mid-evening by then, and then I must go to bed at a decent time. And then you know what it's like. Oh, I'll just do that next section and see what the colours look like. Oh, I'm just going to do the next one. And then when I looked up, the dog's like pouring me as if to say, I need to go out for a wee before I go to bed, even if you're staying up. And yeah, it was approaching midnight. I was like, oh goodness, I need to put this down. But yeah, I'm sort of itching to pick it up again, just to carry on with that little bit of colour work. But it's such a sweet little cardigan. I just need to work out what buttons I'm going to use for it. But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying knitting that. So in terms of anything else, I've obviously been knitting socks ready for future sock boxes. So I've been busy knitting loads of socks. And then I'm also probably I'm probably going to cast on another shawl, but I'm not sure. But I definitely want to do Celine's cardigan when it comes out. So I will be doing that. And then, yeah, I've got so many things on the list to do that I've got to this stage where I'm like, oh, that Galanta's going to be finished probably at the end of the weekend. Itchy. What am I going to cast on next? So next time I will show you what I'm going to cast on next. One of the things that I did purchase, which I thought I'd share with you, and I think it's only just come out, is this book here, which is the Knitting Peter Rabbit book by Claire Garland. Now, anybody who's on Instagram will have seen Dot and Pebbles, the little frog that she does. I don't want to show you too much. Obviously, this is a paid for book, but I think it's just been released and I received mine only yesterday. But they're all the lovely creatures from Peter Rabbit, which I just think that book is timeless. The stories are timeless. I know I learnt them as a child, and I know I read them to my children, and as I said, if I had grandchildren, I would read them to my grandchildren. But they are such beautiful stories, and the illustrations were gorgeous. So I'm really looking for this little frog that I thought everybody must have seen. Loads of people have sort of dressed this frog on Instagram and done animations of it. There it is. There it is. Isn't it gorgeous? What is it about us adults that never get over that let's knit for children sort of type? Let's knit dolls, let's knit little animals. Sometimes I sort of think to myself, why, what's the fascination with it? But I still am. I still love knitting little dolls and then I think, what am I going to do with them? So as end up in the shop, obviously, but if I do know other people, and I do gift them occasionally if I know other people have got babies or grandchildren, so I'll keep on knitting them, whatever. As I said, I'm going to go and do an interview with Anton of the Raw Wool Company. We're going to go up to Porthleven, where some of the sheep live, and we're going to do some filming, and I'm going to get Anton to share with us the story behind the Raw Wool Company and the inspiration and what we're up to, some of the patterns we're doing. But anybody that has purchased the yarn, you'll know that it's sort of based on this sort of very natural aesthetic and as natural as possible yarn, sourced from local sheep here in Cornwall as far as we can, so we can trace everything back to the actual farm and the sheep, in fact, that any of the yarns come from. But I thought it would be nice to share that sort of, we're going to have a chat and a coffee and talk to sheep, and I thought you'd enjoy listening to that. So at the end of this video, I'm going to pop that up, and I hope you really enjoy that as well. Before I go, I just wanted to talk about, because on my new Galanta, you may have noticed my needles. So these are needles by Lanton Moon. Some of you may have had them before. They are made of ebony, and it's my first time of trying them. And I actually purchased the set of them, which the set comes in this little silk. So I was talking about, somebody had a delivery at the door. We've got loads of boxes for the sock club. So yeah, so I wanted to show you this new sort of brand to me. So I bought a set just to try it out myself and see whether I liked them before ordering them from the shop. And I have to say, I'm seriously impressed. I think I bought the Atlanta set. My only comment about some of the sets is that they're quite light on the cables they provide, so I did purchase some additional cables for it. I also purchased their little cable needle set, which I thought was a nice little set, and the repair hook as well. So, but we will be having all of these in the shop. What I liked about them was the the materials that the needles are made of, I find that they're lovely and smooth. They're not too slippery, but they're not quite as sticky sometimes as some wooden needles are. And I particularly like the join. Oh, it doesn't want to. So it's a really seamless sort of join. And yes, you tighten it up, and the tool to tighten it up is a really nice little tool too. Where is that? I will show you the tool that's included. Oh, I might have left that at home. So it's like a nice little wooden tool that is quite robust rather than the little pin that you usually use. But when you tighten them up, they really feel solid, and I haven't had any issues with, you know, them coming unwound, because sometimes I do. And the other thing I really like about them is the cables. Now, the cables are very similar to ChowGoo in that they're wire framed and they don't coil and twist. But what I also like about the cables, and you really can't see it, but on it here is all the information about the cable in terms of the length of it. And I don't know about you, but quite often when you're sort of trying to grab a cable in a hurry, it's really helpful to have on the cable what length of cable it is, just so that you know that you've got the right one without sort of going away and having to measure it. So highly recommend these, and we're going to get the kits in the sets, I think, the interchangeable sets into the shop. And I really love them, and it's probably that, to me, is as good as a ChowGoo. It might just edge it for me, actually, which I'm surprised at, because I thought I was a huge ChowGoo devotee. I also purchased the crochet hook set because I thought they looked really nice, and they look really smooth to work with. I'm yet to use them yet as a crochet hook, so I'll be interested to see as ergonomically how they feel in your hands as you use them. But yeah, so I haven't done my fave knitting accessories for a little while, but they are up there with my favourites, I have to say. So Lanton Moon, we will be getting them in the shop, but if your local yarn store has them, then do go and check them out. Next weekend, I'm off to learn how to dye yarn. I'm off to middle of the UK to a company called Lay Family Yarn. They're a lovely company. We have stocked their yarn in the past and possibly will again, but they are offering a weekend retreat called Woolay Retreat, based where they are based up in, as I said, up in the Midlands area of the UK. And I'm really looking forward to it, because it'll be loads of other people that are really keen to learn how to use yarn. They've asked you to bring a photograph for inspiration for the yarn colour, and I'll be really interested to see how other people's, you know, interpretation of their inspirational photograph looks like. But also I'm really keen to learn the process. I'm not going to go into yarn dyeing in any big way or whatever, but it would occasionally be nice to do just a bespoke one for the shop, just a one colour, you know, a one-off colourway for the shop, and I just really want to learn the process. So I'm really looking forward to that. It'll be a nice breakaway, but it will be sort of fibre related, and it looks like the food is really nice, and I'm sure the company will be lovely. And if they let me, I will try and record little bits of it so that I can show you a little bit of my retreat, take you along with me for a future episode. So that brings me to the end today. Do stay and watch the Raw Ball content at the end of today. And please, please, please think about supporting us with our Crowdfunder bid, because we really want to create this sort of community online across the world. And really, we need some support to do that and make it into something that we think you would want to be part of. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you all again soon. Bye for now. go.
Hope for the best.
Okay, so Anton, I thought it would be interesting if we just talked about a little bit about how the Raw Wool Company came about, really. How did it start? Where did the sort of ideas come from when it started?
Yeah, for those that don't know me, my name's Anton. As Jane said, I own the Raw Wool Company. I'm the founder. Jane is my co-director. So yeah, I grew up on a sheep farm. And my mum was very much into wanting rare breed sheep, and it was always set out to be a fibre specific flock. So what that actually means is that we keep the sheep for the purpose of fibre rather than for meat or commercial farming, that sort of thing. And that's why we went with the Wensleydales from the very beginning. So yeah, we've had sheep for the past 18 to 20 years.
Always the same breeds, or?
Yeah, it was just always Wensleydales. We actually looked at alpacas originally, but the husbandry side of it, they're very full on, alpacas, and sheep are very full on, but alpacas are even more so. But they also, the colours just suited what we wanted as well. They sort of more kind of rustic colours, and also the Wensleydales are just big fluffy teddy bears. They're so cute, and that's kind of why we fell in love with them. And then also looking at the fibre, alpaca, it's a beautiful, lovely, soft fibre, but it's also quite weak, and so it needs to be blended to strengthen it if you want a fibre that can last a long time. And the Wensleydale offers that because it's a lovely long wool fibre. So it has these really lovely long staple lengths, which makes it incredibly strong, but also incredibly soft.
Yeah, I mean, people pay a lot of money to have their hair crimped like that.
A bit of crimp. So Wensleydale, we did a lot of research on the sheep before we got the sheep in the first place, and Wensleydale yarn has always been sought after for tweeding. Like the most luxurious tweed that you can buy.
And that was your mum's vision originally, wasn't
it?
That's
what mum wanted to do originally, was so it would be for tweeding. So it would be a worsted spun and then made up into tweed. But from the get-go, it was always to do it in the natural colours. So this is the silver, and then we've got the 3 variant colours as well. So the idea was to have a black tweed with silver and the sort of tan colour running through it as a tweed, and then we had the sheep for many years, developing the fibre, getting the micron count to where we wanted it. So micron for
which
those,
was a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's a lot
absolutely.
of science involved.
A lot of science, and especially when it comes to sort of husbandry and breeding programmes, and the other part of the sheep side, as we say, we're a fibre specific flock, is that we were trying to increase the breed numbers. So we were producing rams and ewes to sell on for breeding to populate the breed and try and make it not a rare breed anymore. What was I saying?
we were talking about the weaving and why the sort of 3 different colours of the breed. But I suppose as well this, if you look at our strapline on the Raw Wool, it's colours in the sheep intended. So this is carried through, and we'll talk about the new ranges of yarn in a minute, but this is carried through to the other breeds of sheep that we've been using.
Absolutely. It's just to celebrate the natural colours that you can get. Like, this is exactly the same breed, but just the variation in the colours is so dramatic. Oops.
So it sort of was originally we've had the sheep for a long time, and then the original idea was around the developing the tweed, and then sort of you've taken this business on and the sheep on now to be able to develop it into the yarn business that really is what the Raw Wool Company is about. When you started, because I came in after you'd sort of really started the Raw Wool Company, didn't it? When you started, you were selling the fibre as a loose product
for other people to spin.
You still do.
The fibre is still there, available to.
And what do people use the loose fibre for?
So for felting and for hand spinning themselves, people that have their own wheels, it's a different process because you can spin directly from the locks themselves, but most people will do what's a woolen spun. But these are perfect for that worsted spun. because of the such long staple lengths, and it creates this lovely.
Do you want to
luxurious
explain the
fibre.
difference between woolen spun
Yes.
and worsted spun for
So it's
people?
essentially just the process that the wool undergoes from a fibre before it turns into a spun yarn, and it mainly comes down to the carding process or combing process, depending which one you do. So for woolen spun, it's a carding process. So you know those dog cones that you get that they've got tiny little spikes on them,
and you see,
and you mush it all
doing
up.
this with them.
So you put the fibres in that, and it's just on a bigger scale in the mill, and it mushes it all up, and then it gets created into rovings, and that's the woolen process.
And
So
people buy roving, don't they?
yeah, people
You
buy
know,
roving. Yeah,
roving
that's what you need to
and
do to
knit
prepare
with
it before you spin. And then the worsted process, it kind of looks like big 9-inch nails sticking out of a cone.
Painful.
They call it a French cone, but the idea of that is that when you comb the fibre, you're keeping all those fibres in the same direction.
You go in the same way,
Yeah,
in terms
so-
of you don't cross.
No,
across
so the other one
fibres,
just kind of, the woolen process kind of
just
mushes
mashes
it all
them
up.
together, whereas that's a more pure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what that does is this works with the fibre and just retains that sort of natural glossiness
And
and
what are
strength to it.
in terms of worsted and woolen as a spin when you buy yarn? What should people look for if they were going to be making a garment? Is worsted spun better for certain things, or is woolen spun better for certain
Yeah,
things?
absolutely. It depends on your outcome or the pattern that you're knitting to. If you want something that is going to have a lot of volume to it as a yarn, it's going to be a nice big fluffy jumper, you're more likely to go for a woolen spun.
Yeah.
If you want something that's got lovely drape to it and feels nice and silky, perhaps you're doing lace work, those sort of things.
Or a shawl.
Or a shawl, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect for shawls. You might want to go for a worsted spun.
Yeah, because I sometimes think people don't understand the difference between the two.
And there is
what you
also a
use
medium
them for.
ground as a semi-worsted as well, so something that has got that sort of staple long length, but then it also has a little bit of fluff to it, so you can kind of meet halfway. I know a lot of John Arbon yarns, they're semi-worsted spun rather
Right,
than
okay.
full worsted. It's quite a laborious process to do a worsted spun. This is why selling it as a raw fibre, it's quite attractive for spinners that haven't done worsted spun on their
And
wheels
people
before.
have used it. We've had people buy it for stuffing things. As
Absolutely,
well,
it makes
as
a great
natural
natural stuffing, yeah.
as well. So we do sell that still as a raw product for anybody that's interested in just the raw fibre itself. So obviously we worked with the Natural Fibre Company, who are a local mill to us, aren't they? How
Yeah.
many? Well, 50 miles up the road from
Okay,
us.
road, yeah.
So trying to keep our carbon footprint as small as we can, and obviously Cornish Mill, it was the perfect location for us to go and get some spun. And we started off with a small batch.
We did, yeah, we did.
To experiment, but goodness me, that went quite quickly.
It did. I mean, one of the biggest sort of learning curves for us it's a bit like making cake, that if when you put too many drops of one colour, it completely changes the whole
Yeah,
batch.
particularly with cake colouring, you have to be so delicate. And
Tiny little drops.
it's proved the same with
Yeah,
this.
exactly the same with fibre.
colour.
So when we first sorted out the fleece, we were trying to match the colours as best we could. I think I ended up having like 18 categories of just the black colour itself, and grade it was all into different grades of fleece. So grading is how good a quality fleece it is, or how old it is, or if it's got more fibre, as in like natural fibre of twigs and straw and those sort of things in it. So graded them all, put them into all different colours, and then we put the first batch in, and that was fantastic. And then we put another test batch in, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Just to see what would happen if we changed the colour ratio slightly, and it didn't come out very well. It didn't come out the colours we wanted to.
No.
So we kept that batch for ourselves. It was only a small test batch that we did.
Yeah.
But that was a great learning curve, and that's the thing with using natural colours, is that you kind of don't know what you're going to get.
No, it's sort of a mystery, really. It's a
Depends on the
mystery adventure.
individual fleeces that get put in.
Yeah.
This is why each batch is
It's
unique.
Yeah, it's slightly different. So, it's really important if you are buying a quantity of yarn. I mean, I know this is the same as if you've gone for a dye lot of yarn as
Yeah,
well.
exactly the same.
But because people tend to think if it's a natural yarn that hasn't had any dye, that it's always going to be the same
Yeah,
colour.
no matter from batch to batch,
but
yeah.
it's not. We can assure you, because we've seen that, haven't we, from batch to batch.
From batch 1 to batch, we're on batch 3 or 4 now.
Yeah. 4, I think.
The colour difference between them has been so dramatic. And this is why we re-photograph every single batch, because they're always so different.
Yeah. But if you ordered from us, we would make sure that you got yarn from the same batch.
And also on our website we have the archive skeins as well. So if somebody has bought from a previous batch, I always keep back a few skeins, just in case.
So from sort of going from that sort of pure blend of British Wensleydales, we've sort of branched out, haven't we, and sort of incorporated different sheep. So do you want to sort of share a bit about our ethos, about why we've done that, and who we work with?
Well, the ethos from the beginning it's that tagline again of yarn in the colour the sheep intended, and we had these 3 beautiful colours come from the Wensleydales, which is our natural colour black, our medium sort of we call it pewter, and then our shepherd silver, which is kind of like a lovely dark silver. But from there I wanted to create a full colour palette of natural colours.
We were particularly thinking about the colour work, weren't we?
We were, absolutely. And then also celebrating British fibre. So obviously Wensleydale is an amazing rare breed fibre, but there are so many other amazing sheep out there that have different properties. Like today we went and saw the Dorsets, which is almost completely the opposite to Wensleydale, in that it's a very voluminous, very white, fluffy fibre, and really suits.
Looks like a cloud on the
Yeah, that's a really good way of describing it. That is a fibre that it's very soft, but it's soft in a different way. It's soft in a fluffy way, whereas Wensleydale is soft in a glossy and smooth way. And so that's why we wanted to use some different breeds. So we hopped down the road, and this is where we are today, is at Steve's farm,
which is near Porthleven, if any of you know Cornwall. So just on the coast. The coast is just over there.
Just over there.
It's sort of, the sun is so bright at this time of year, we can't actually show you it because
we'll try and get a shot if we can.
Yeah, we'll try to do that. We're lucky because it has been raining.
Yeah, it's been raining.
We were thinking we were going to be doing this in the rain.
So we just popped down the road. Steve is an amazing shepherd.
So is it?
Yeah, that's it.
So this is the Dorset. So as you can see, it's a really sort of creamy sort of, I think it's a lovely cream. It's not too white. It's got a lovely sort of feel to it. It's it's bouncy but a little bit toothy, so it feels like that natural yarn. It's like sheepy smell, which I love.
It's real. Yeah.
So this we have this in 4-ply and DK at the moment, and we've just had a new batch spun, haven't we?
Yeah.
So the plan is to keep on producing this whenever the fleeces become available, obviously. Yeah. So we're limited by the amount of fleece we have available to us at any one time. Do you want to talk about?
Well, I was just saying about Steve as well, is that we wanted to work with young farmers that we believed in and shared the same sort of husbandry skills as us, and treat their sheep humanely, and also that it's a sustainable fibre. This is why we only produce it in small amounts, because we know the quality's there, and we micron test all of our fleeces every year to get the average micron count, and we work on that year by year. So we spent 18 years with the Wensleydale increasing the micron count into a place where we wanted it to be, and that's why it's such a lovely fibre. And the same with the Dorset.
And we have blended the Wensleydale we had some British Merino, didn't we? Well?
Originally, yeah. So we kept Merino, British Merinos for a while. They're slightly different to what you sort of may think of a Merino, like a New Zealand Merino or Falkland Merino. But we kept British Merinos for a while. They just really did not enjoy the Cornish weather, which a lot of people can't stand the Cornish weather, can they? Yeah. It's harsh in the winter, and
we're a hardy breed.
Yeah. Well, the Merinos definitely were not. No. They really hated it, and for their well-being, they've gone up country, so they got sold on. But what we did have was we had the lamb's wool left over, so we did a blend. That was our very first blend that we did, that wasn't just 100% one fibre, and that created our softers cloud. Every cloud has a silver lining was the first one.
Was it?
Yeah,
It wasn't
and then
the Mizzle one.
no, that's Blueface Leicester.
Oh, I'm getting attacked by.
So that was our
Insect.
first blend between two different breeds, and that came out amazingly. Obviously, we only had that.
Oh, I
amount of
remember. Yeah,
merino.
no, I do remember that one now. Yeah, no, that was lovely.
So then for the next batch for blending, we got some Blueface Leicester, from Launceston, from a lovely farm up in Launceston. Again, another small producer, and shared the same ethos as us with it when it comes to looking after sheep.
And partly as well is that the farmers that farm sheep, they get a pretty raw deal, don't they, in terms of the price of the people pay for their fleeces. So we try as much as we can to pay a fair price.
We always pay 3 times the amount than the British Wool Association offer. The British Wool Association are doing amazing things in the UK, but the price of wool still is an all-time low. And for many farmers, the fleece is actually a nuisance, especially if they're meat farmers.
So they're just, they want somebody to take it off their hands, but we want to pay a fair price for it. So
And
that's part of our sort of ethos.
It's just supporting young farmers. And so the Blueface Leicester made our silver mizzle.
Which is
blend.
probably one of our most popular. As soon as we
and by popular demand, we're bringing it back.
Yeah, because as soon as we took that anywhere, we would sell.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, most of our yarns really are, apart from the sort of hero yarns, as we call the British Wensleydales, are limited edition yarns. So if you like them and you see them, you need to grab them quickly.
And another one of those is this one that you're holding.
Rum and Raisin, which is what I'm knitting with at the moment.
You're
and
doing the slip over, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm doing the Galanta, and I put it in the video earlier. I'm doing the Galanta vest by Carol Feller in it, and it's a worsted pattern, but I have to say I think this is quite a plump DK.
It's a plump DK, yeah. When it very first came back from the mill, I did the whips per inch test on it, and it fell into the DK range, but you could definitely push it to the worsted grain with your needle size. And
the fabric that I'm creating with the correct needle size, I hit gauge perfectly, and it's not a sort of flimsy fabric at all. It's nice and dense.
Well, it blooms as well when you.
Do you want to say a bit about?
Yes, Sarah.
Sarah, the sort of owner of these sheep.
So Steve was our first other shepherd that we worked with, and then at Steve's farm is a young shepherdess, the Kerno Shepherdess on Instagram, and Steve is the Salty Shepherd.
Yeah. So do give them a follow, and we will put that in our notes.
So Sarah keeps her sheep up at Steve's farm as well, and she has Zwabbles. I think you're supposed to say Zwatblast. They're originally, so they're originally a Dutch breed, but we very much adopted them in the UK. They're beautiful, super black, naturally black sheep with this lovely white sort of badger face. And you can see a couple of those white flecks in the yarn as well.
It's been interesting knitting with it because I've seen sort of different fibres come out of it, and I did hold it in a container which had some of the Wensleydale, and I even have Wensleydale staples actually attached itself to it. But I've also come across bits of straw. Which I love.
Do you? Because that shows that I haven't picked it very well. So.
No, I love it. In fact, I mentioned it, I think, in my when I was talking about it, but I love it.
But it is nice because it does connect you back to the sheep of this is literally what the sheep have been eating.
This is natural, and you just pick it out. But
I mean, most of the time it falls out as you knit with it anyway. But going through that process of picking fleece, I have to pick as much of that out as I can. A lot of it gets drops out in the spinning process, but a couple of things will tag on in there.
So we will continue to develop and work.
We didn't explain what the blend was.
Zwartballs.
So it's Zwartballs, Zwartballs, which is 70% Zwartball, and then we've also put some of our black Wensleydale in there as well, just to give it a little bit of strength. So Zwartball is woolen process. This has been woolen processed. It's a very voluminous fibre, a bit like the Dorset, but just to give it a little bit of extra strength, we put some of the Wensleydale in there. That long wool fibre is doing its job, and it just creates a lovely plump, but also still slightly lusterful yarn. I think if it was just pure as warble, it wouldn't have so much lustre in it. The Wensleydale just gives it that extra shine.
I know the stock we've had in the shop has been really popular. And I know online.
The first batch sold out.
Yeah,
Crazy quick.
So it is a limited edition.
Yeah, Sarah only has 15 of these sheep, and so we can only produce so much every year. This is also where we put the Wensleydale in to help it go a little bit further, but also adds an extra property to it.
But moving forward, I think we will continue to try and work in this way and do limited editions alongside our sort of staple hero yarns. And
we're still always trying to expand our colour palette as well. We'd really like to get some of those sort of caramels and chocolate colours in there. And we're talking with other farmers, and we always go and check out their farm. And
we have talked about purchasing some sheep.
Yes. Again, some more breeds.
Yeah.
Rylands, I would love.
Blue-faced Leicester.
Blue-faced Leicester, Rylands, and maybe Polworth. But yeah, we've got many a sheep here already.
We've got lots of sheep here already, but I know you've been appraised somehow.
Yeah. I would love to carry on that colour palette, and that's very much my mission is to create an entire colour palette of natural colours. Yeah, and in a sustainable way.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about the designs now? Because obviously raw wool, and this is Anton's creativity. I can only say that my only involvement is mainly checking the pattern
and knitting.
And knitting as well.
And keeping me on track.
But Anton has this hugely creative mind. So you've been creating a series of knitting patterns.
Yes.
Do you want to tell people about that and the inspiration behind them?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of you may or may not have seen already that we've released a couple of patterns. So we've released the silly Gansey, the silly hat, and the harbour walls.
And I will list them below again in our...
So they're on our website, they're on Ravelry, and we've got more patterns in the work. I think we've got hopefully the next sort of 6 months of pattern releases in various stages of design and testing it.
Do you want to show one that you're working on? This is a prototype.
So this is a prototype
and it's just gone out to test knit.
Yeah, the test knit starts on 2 weeks' time actually. Yeah. So this is a yoke, colourwork yoke, and this is with Shepherd Silver. And this
always does this.
Rolls on the edge.
Yeah, when I
it's because the cable's too short. I do put the longer cable in sometimes when I'm trying to do pictures. But yeah, so this is our Shepherd Silver in DK weight, and then we love Telling Yarns.
Beth
from Telling Yarns yarn, and I love her. Firstly, it's a beautiful British blend of Blue-faced Leicester, Zwarble, Polworth,
Masham.
Maybe Marsham, yeah.
I think there's some Masham in there.
It's a lovely mix of British wools, and that's processed at John Arbon.
So specifically for her, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's her own place.
And her dyeing is just... I love colour. You know, obviously, I love the natural colours, but I also do love colour. And her colours just, I think, work so well with the natural colour.
Yeah.
That subtle variation in the colours is just beautiful.
Her brand fits with our brand really well, doesn't it?
And she's just a lovely lady.
Yeah, and that's why we've got stock arriving in the shop today, actually. Yeah. So, yeah, she's a lovely lady, but again, where we need to sort of branch out to other yarn suppliers, we want to work with people that share our values, really. And
it was always important from when I was designing patterns, not all of the patterns I have in my mind,
which there are lots,
will work in the fibres that we have, and this is where I want to help promote other people that we believe in.
And particularly sort of the British fibre industry.
For sure. And this is why Beth was just an easy choice. With
and there will be others that we use from time to time.
Pantalanium? I'm saying that wrong.
Oh, the colour?
Yeah.
No, Steadfast is the DK version,
yeah,
isn't it?
That's her DK, range. But the actual colour was... we'll put it in the note.
Yeah, Pantelion, I think it's
Pantelion. Yeah. So this is just a colourwork DK, and there's a short steek here. So some people are very scared of steeking, aren't they?
I'm knitting a little baby cardigan at the moment that you need to steek, so I've sort of overcome my steek.
I think this is a perfect first project if you're going to steek, because it's not very big. So you can really focus on what you're doing, and if it goes wrong, which it won't go wrong, because you'll follow videos and you'll take all the advice.
And also it means that you can do the colour work on the right side all the time.
Absolutely. There's not a lot to steek, is it? So if it went wrong, you could do it again if you needed to. So I think it's a really good project as a first-time steeker to have a go at. But yeah, that's exactly why you would steek, is so you can do your colour work all on the right side and not having to be pearl colour work. So this is our yoke down, and then it's got this like sort of grandad collar, which I'm still yet to put the steek back. But that's something I'm working on at the moment. But we're going to be releasing a pattern every month.
Yeah.
And they're all inspired by the Cornish coast, and then also having a nod to Cornish heritage knitwear. So the Gansey, and also smock, and then Cornish patterns.
And also, as you say, place, because there's a lot of emphasis from Sillies, for example, and here in Porthleven, and you use the Porthleven Gansey stitch, don't you?
Yes, and also you recently went to Polperro. One of the Silly Gansey has some of the Polperro pattern in there as well. Yeah. So all those nods to the Cornish coast.
So watch out for more patterns, more designs. My main task is to try and make sure that he doesn't get too ambitious, and that we make sure they're right when they're released, so that
this is why the test knitters are so valuable. So if you do want to test it,
we're always looking for test knitters, you know, we try and create a really nice community around the test.
It's been great, isn't it? Everybody's been so engaging and lovely, and we keep everybody. We do on a program called Slack, and we have like an alumni group in there, and everybody just keeps chatting away even after the test knit is finished. So it's a lovely community. We're back to
that knitting community, which is such a lovely place to be. So I hope you've enjoyed this little talk about the Raw Wool Company. I did say in a previous video that I didn't cover it at Unravel, and this is why, because I wanted to delve deeper into the Raw Wool Company and just show you just this stunning environment in which we're located, and where the sheep are actually living, and where we source our fleeces from. So thank you, Anton.
Oh, thank you for having me, and hopefully this will encourage me to maybe have a go at doing my own YouTube. We'll see. But thank you for having me.
We're still trying to convince, seeing as your profession, your other profession.
Yeah, but I'm used to being behind the camera, not in front of it.
Well, we think he's a star.
It's a great way to speak to you guys, so yeah, I really should get on it.
You should.
Yeah, brilliant. Amazing.
Bye.
Bye.